Most people walk into a restaurant assuming one simple thing: the food is safe. The kitchen is clean. The staff knows what they are doing. And the chain you've trusted for years is still the same place it used to be. But when you look behind the scenes, when you start pulling health inspection records, employee testimonies, customer reports, and viral incidents the companies hope you never see, the truth is a lot more uncomfortable. If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type "interested" in the comments. And I will give you a heart. Some of America's most popular restaurant chains aren't just cutting corners. They are serving food that's old, reheated, contaminated, mislabeled, loaded with sodium and preservatives, or prepared in kitchens that inspectors have shut down for pests, mold, and improper food handling. And the worst part? Most of this never makes it into the commercials, the menu photos, or the smiling ads you see on TV. It stays hidden, buried in local reporting and public records, until now. Today, we are counting down 10 restaurants you should avoid, not because of personal preference, but because of what inspectors, former employees, and real customers have documented. We are talking about chains where cleanliness failed inspections. Chains that serve frozen food disguised as fresh. Chains linked to lawsuits, viral scandals, and ingredients they'd rather you didn't Google. But stay with me until the end, because after we go through the worst offenders, I'll show you the restaurants that actually get it right, the ones worth your money, your time, and your health. Let's start with a chain that used to feel safe, familiar, and family-friendly. But today represents one of the clearest examples of how fast standards can collapse. Applebee's, the fall of a neighborhood favorite. Applebee's used to feel like the safest choice in America, the kind of place you could walk into on a weeknight and know exactly what you were getting. Families trusted it. Teens hung out there. It was the go-to spot for affordable comfort food that didn't try to be fancy. But what was once predictable and reliable has slowly turned into one of the most concerning chains in the casual dining world, and it didn't happen overnight. For years, customers have complained about inconsistent food quality, strange textures, off flavors, and plates that arrive lukewarm even when the restaurant isn't busy. Former employees have repeatedly confirmed why. A lot of the food that looks fresh on the plate isn't cooked fresh at all. Much of it is pre-cooked, frozen, bagged, or reheated in the microwave or on steam tables. Steaks, burgers, and grilled items are often prepped long before you sit down, and the kitchen crew mostly assembles, reheats, and sauces rather than cooking from scratch. That "fresh off the grill" slogan? It's more marketing than reality. Health inspectors have caught multiple Applebee's locations using expired ingredients, improperly stored meats, and cross-contaminated prep stations. Some reports describe dirty cutting boards, unclean utensils, and walk-in coolers that weren't kept at safe temperatures. In a few cities, inspectors even documented raw chicken stored above ready-to-eat foods, a violation that can shut a kitchen down on the spot. And while not every Applebee's location is guilty, the pattern is wide enough that customers can't ignore it anymore. Then there are the viral incidents. Videos showing employees mishandling food, touching ready-to-eat items without gloves, or preparing meals in unclean areas. These clips gain millions of views and exposed what corporate never wanted the public to see. For many diners, once you see the inside of a kitchen that careless, it becomes impossible to enjoy the food again. Even their healthier dishes aren't as light as the menu makes them sound. Applebee's has been called out repeatedly for calorie-heavy meals disguised as lighter options. Their grilled chicken Caesar salad, which sounds harmless, packs over 1,000 calories and almost half your daily sodium intake in one sitting. Much of their menu relies on cheap industrial oils, heavy sauces, and pre-made components that prioritize shelf life over nutrition. And if you think the problems stop at the food, they don't. In 2022, a leaked memo from an Applebee's executive sparked national outrage after he suggested that rising gas prices were good for business because they would force more people into taking low-wage jobs. The backlash was immediate. Boycotts spread across social media, and the company scrambled to distance itself from the statement. Whether or not corporate agreed with the memo, the message was clear: cost-cutting and profit margins had taken priority over staff, customers, and food quality. The portions have shrunk. Prices have gone up. The ingredients are cheaper. The kitchens are inconsistent. And the brand that used to feel warm and welcoming has been replaced with something tired and corporate, something that looks the same from the outside but feels very different once you sit down. If you're looking for comfort food, there are far better choices. Local diners with real grills, restaurants with actual cooks in the kitchen, places where your meal isn't reheated from a bag. Applebee's may still call itself the neighborhood grill, but the truth is, most neighborhoods deserve something better. Type Applebee's in the comments if you've ever had a bad experience there. I want to see how common it really is. Olive Garden, the comfort chain that isn't what it pretends to be. Olive Garden built its entire identity on warmth, nostalgia, and that family-style Italian image that so many people grew up with. Endless breadsticks, bottomless pasta bowls, warm lighting, and friendly servers made it feel comforting, predictable, and familiar. But behind that inviting atmosphere is a long list of problems the chain has struggled to hide, and once you see what customers and former employees have revealed, it becomes hard to look at that bowl of Alfredo the same way again. Most people assume the dishes are made fresh in the kitchen, but the reality is very different. Multiple former staff members have admitted that much of Olive Garden's food doesn't start from scratch. Sauces come pre-mixed, soups arrive in pre-packed containers, and many components are frozen, reheated, or pre-assembled long before your order hits the table. That famous Alfredo sauce people rave about? It's often loaded with preservatives, industrial oils, and cheap ingredients that barely resemble the traditional recipe. What should be butter, cream, and cheese turns into something engineered more for shelf life than authenticity. Nutrition experts have repeatedly pointed out how shockingly unhealthy some of their dishes are. The Tour of Italy plate, one of their most popular orders, contains more than 1,500 calories and over a day's worth of saturated fat and sodium in a single serving. Even their lighter choices can be misleading. The salads, for example, arrive drenched in dressings high in sugar, industrial seed oils, and sodium-heavy seasonings. The food may taste comforting, but your body pays for it later. And the cleanliness issues can't be ignored. Over the years, customers have reported dirty utensils, stained plates, and unclean dining areas at various locations. Former employees have shared behind-the-scenes photos of cluttered prep stations, under-sanitized surfaces, and inconsistent kitchen habits. Some locations have even faced pest complaints, including a viral incident where a customer claimed to find a piece of plastic in their pasta. That video alone sparked a wave of criticism and forced corporate to address the situation, but it wasn't an isolated case. Then there's the corporate culture shift. Reports have surfaced claiming Olive Garden cut back on staff training, reduced oversight, and pushed employees to do more with fewer resources. When you combine that with high turnover in the restaurant industry, the result is predictable: inconsistent food, rushed preparation, and mistakes that should never leave the kitchen. One of the most embarrassing moments for the brand came when they openly admitted they refused to salt pasta water to protect the pots, a decision that became an internet meme and a symbol of how far they had drifted from anything resembling authentic cooking. The truth is simple: Olive Garden offers convenience, not real Italian food. And when you pay restaurant prices for reheated sauces, frozen components, and sodium-heavy plates disguised as homestyle, you're not getting the quality or the care you think you are. If you're craving real pasta, you're far better off supporting a local Italian restaurant where the sauce is made fresh and the kitchen actually cooks, not reheats. If you've ever eaten at Olive Garden and felt the food tasted off, type Olive Garden in the comments. Let's see how many people noticed the same thing. Buffalo Wild Wings, the game day favorite with serious hidden problems. Buffalo Wild Wings sells an experience more than a meal. Big screens everywhere, loud crowds, cold drinks, and a menu built around the idea of fun, fast, game day energy. It feels like the perfect place to watch a fight, catch a playoff game, or hang out with friends. But underneath all that excitement is a long list of issues that customers never see, and once you understand how this chain really operates, it's hard to ignore what's happening behind the scenes. Most people assume the wings are fresh, bone-in chicken cooked the same day. But multiple former employees have confirmed that many locations rely heavily on frozen wings that are fried, tossed in sauce, and served as though they came straight from the kitchen in real time. That wouldn't be a problem if the sauces were clean, but they are not. A lot of them contain MSG, artificial colorings, cheap oils, stabilizers, and preservatives, the kind of additives that trigger migraines, inflammation, and stomach issues in sensitive people. The flavor is strong, but it comes at a cost. Nutrition experts consistently rank Buffalo Wild Wings as one of the least healthy chains in America. A single order of their blazing Carolina Reaper wings can pack more than 1,200 calories and over 4,000 milligrams of sodium, almost twice the recommended daily limit in one sitting. Add fries and a drink, and you're pushing numbers that would shock most people if they weren't hidden behind the casual sports bar vibe. But the concerns go deeper than calories. In 2019, a Chicago area location made national headlines when a group of black customers was allegedly asked to move because of their race. The story went viral, the company apologized, and many people saw it as a disturbing sign of deeper problems. It wasn't the only controversy either. Several online reports and health inspections have pointed out moldy soda nozzles, dirty food prep areas, and cross-contamination issues, the kind that can make customers seriously sick. Even their so-called boneless wings sparked a national debate. A customer filed a lawsuit accusing the company of misleading diners into thinking they were eating real wing meat when the product was actually just fried chunks of chicken breast. It sounds trivial until you realize how aggressively the chain markets them as wings, not nuggets. The lawsuit blew up online, forcing Buffalo Wild Wings to publicly clarify something that should have been obvious from the beginning. The pattern is hard to ignore. Frozen wings sold as fresh. Sauces loaded with additives. High sodium, high calories, and questionable cleanliness. Viral scandals that shouldn't happen in a professional kitchen. And marketing that doesn't always line up with what's actually served. Buffalo Wild Wings may be a fun place to watch a game, but when it comes to food quality, transparency, and nutrition, it falls short in ways most people never see. If you're craving wings, you're better off visiting a local bar or a real smokehouse that cooks their food fresh, uses cleaner ingredients, and doesn't rely on frozen bags and chemical-heavy sauces to deliver flavor. If you've ever eaten at Buffalo Wild Wings and felt sick, bloated, or disappointed afterward, type BWW in the comments. Let's see how common it really is. Chili's, the casual dining classic that quietly lost its way. Chili's used to be one of the most dependable spots for a night out. Sizzling fajitas, big burgers, loud energy, and that signature baby back ribs jingle everyone remembers. It felt familiar. It felt fun. It felt like a place where the food came hot off the grill and the kitchen actually cooked. But over the last decade, the chain has gone through a slow decline that most customers never realized was happening, and now Chili's sits at the center of some of the most troubling patterns in casual dining. Let's start with the food, because that's where the biggest shift happened. Former employees from different states have shared the same story. A lot of Chili's dishes aren't cooked fresh anymore. Instead of real fajitas sizzling from the grill or chicken made to order, many items are pre-cooked, frozen, stored in bags, or reheated in microwaves and steamers. The presentation still looks good, but the taste and texture give away the truth. What used to be Tex-Mex comfort food slowly turned into reheated convenience. The nutritional issues speak for themselves. Several Chili's entrees are among the most unhealthy items in the entire casual dining industry. Their ultimate smokehouse combo pushes more than 2,500 calories and over 6,000 milligrams of sodium in one plate, nearly 3 days' worth of salt for some people. Even dishes that seem harmless, like their chicken crispers, can have sodium levels that would shock most diners if they saw the numbers up front. Large portions, heavy sauces, industrial oils, and sugar-loaded glazes hide behind colorful menu photos. And the cleanliness concerns are even harder to ignore. Viral TikToks, Reddit posts, and employee leaks have shown everything from moldy ice machines to unclean prep areas, food containers sitting out too long, and ingredients stored next to each other without proper separation. Some health inspections have flagged improper food temperatures, undercooked chicken, and poor sanitation habits. These aren't isolated events. The footage is coming from too many locations for people to dismiss as random mistakes. Customers have also complained about foreign objects in their meals, from bits of plastic to hair to uncooked or raw center portions. When you see multiple reports across different states, it stops feeling like coincidence and starts looking like a pattern of lowered standards and rushed kitchens. Chili's also suffers from something that hits every chain when cost-cutting becomes the priority: smaller portions, higher prices, and less attention to detail. Many longtime diners say the food doesn't taste the same, the plates aren't as generous, and the ingredients feel cheaper. When a chain leans too heavily on microwaves and pre-made components, the soul of the restaurant disappears. Chili's has been heading in that direction for years. It used to be a place that felt alive, with cooks grilling, servers upbeat, and food that tasted like it was made with real effort. Now, The brand struggles with identity, consistency, and quality. And in an industry where diners have endless alternatives, Chili's has become a reminder of what happens when a beloved restaurant stops evolving and starts cutting corners. If you want real Tex-Mex flavor, tortillas made fresh, meat seasoned on the spot, salsa that doesn't come from a plastic jug, you're better off visiting a local cantina or family-run restaurant. They still cook. They still care. And they still deliver what Chili's used to offer before it drifted away from its own roots. If you've eaten at Chili's in the past year and noticed the food tasted different, type Chili's in the comments. Let's see how many people felt the same change. IHOP, the breakfast house that isn't what it used to be. IHOP used to mean comfort, fluffy pancakes, warm coffee, a friendly breakfast atmosphere, and a menu that felt familiar whether it was 8 a.m. or 2 in the morning. Families trusted it. Travelers relied on it. And for years, it felt like the safest place to grab a hot meal at any hour. But today, IHOP carries a reputation very different from the one it built, and the more you look at the kitchen practices, ingredients, and inspection reports, the harder it becomes to defend what this chain has turned into. Let's start with the food, because that's where the biggest gap between perception and reality appears. Many customers assume that IHOP cooks everything fresh pancake batter, fresh eggs, fresh breakfast meats sizzling on the griddle. But former employees across the country have admitted that much of the magic is pre-packaged, frozen, or poured straight out of industrial bags and jugs. Pancake batter often comes from commercial bags mixed with water. Omelets are made with pre-mixed liquid eggs containing preservatives. Bacon and sausage are cooked in bulk, stored, and reheated throughout the day. The fresh from the griddle feeling is more nostalgia than truth. Then there's the nutrition problem. A lot of IHOP's most popular breakfast plates are nutritional disasters disguised as comfort food. Dishes like the country fried steak or big steak omelette can exceed 1,700 calories and more than 3,000 milligrams of sodium in one order. Even the pancakes, which seem harmless, are often drenched in syrups made with high fructose corn syrup instead of real maple syrup. Add a side of hash browns and a flavored coffee, and you're eating more sugar and sodium than your entire body needs in a day. This isn't breakfast, it's a metabolic shock. Cleanliness concerns are another recurring issue. Health inspection reports from multiple states have flagged IHOP locations for dirty grills, unwashed utensils, improper food storage, pest issues, and moldy or unclean syrup containers. Viral videos from customers and employees show roaches in dining areas, sticky prep stations, and food stored outside safe temperature ranges. One well-known incident involved a diner in Virginia who claimed to find a roach inside a coffee mug, and that story sparked an online storm that forced multiple locations into emergency inspections. Stories like this shouldn't happen in a national chain, yet they're happening too often. Service and consistency have also declined. Thousands of customers report long wait times even when the restaurant is half empty. Orders arrive cold, incomplete, or wrong. Food sits under heat lamps too long. Staffing is stretched thin. Training is inconsistent. And when you combine all of that with rising menu prices, shrinking portions, and lower quality ingredients, it's no surprise that many longtime IHOP fans say the brand doesn't feel the same anymore. IHOP tried to reinvent itself with burgers, lunch items, and marketing stunts that confused customers, but the core problem never changed. The quality behind the kitchen doors isn't where it needs to be. The chain grew faster than its ability to maintain standards, and breakfast, the meal that should be simple and comforting, turned into something processed, inconsistent, and often unsanitary. If you want a real breakfast, eggs cracked fresh, pancakes made from scratch, sausage cooked to order, coffee poured from clean pots, you're almost always better off going to a local diner or family-owned cafe. Those places still care about making breakfast the right way, without shortcuts, preservatives, or reheated assembly line food. If you've ever had a bad experience at IHOP, cold food, slow service, or anything worse, type IHOP in the comments. Let's see how widespread it really is. Denny's, the late-night diner that lost its reputation. For decades, Denny's was the place you went when everywhere else was closed, a 24/7 safety net where travelers, night shift workers, students, and families could grab a warm meal at any hour. It was America's diner, simple, predictable, comforting, and open when you needed it most. But the Denny's people remember from years ago is not the Denny's that exists today, and the decline isn't subtle. It's visible in the food, the cleanliness, the service, and the long trail of complaints and controversies the chain has been trying to outrun. Start with the food, because that's where most customers feel the difference immediately. Many of the dishes that look freshly cooked are actually built on prepackaged or frozen components that get reheated, mixed, or assembled throughout the day. Former employees from multiple states have confirmed the same thing. Scrambled eggs often come from liquid egg cartons, sausages and bacon arrive frozen in bulk, and pancakes are made from giant industrial bags of batter instead of real scratch recipes. What smells like home cooking is usually mass-produced convenience food designed for speed, not taste. The nutritional numbers are just as shocking. A single double cheeseburger at Denny's contains nearly 1,500 calories and over 3,400 milligrams of sodium, more salt than an adult should eat in an entire day. Even meals labeled fit or healthier choice still rely on processed turkey bacon, preservative-heavy egg whites, and high-sodium sauces that undercut the health claims. Many regular customers don't realize how much salt, sugar, and oil they're consuming because the menu hides it behind friendly photos and diner-style names. Cleanliness is one of the chain's biggest ongoing problems. Health inspections across different cities have documented dirty soda dispensers, mold and ice machines, expired ingredients, sticky prep stations, and food stored outside safe temperature ranges. Viral posts from customers show foreign objects in meals, including bits of plastic, hair, unclean pans, and undercooked meats. These aren't one-off mistakes, they're signs of systemic issues caused by rushed staff, poor training, and kitchens overwhelmed by the 24th of July operations. And the controversies don't stop there. Denny's has a long history of lawsuits, many involving racial discrimination, customer mistreatment, or workplace issues. While the company has tried to rebuild its image, the damage still lingers in the public's memory. Add in the inconsistent service, long wait times, cold plates, missing items, and disorganized kitchens, and Denny's has become known more for frustration than comfort. Even the atmosphere has changed. What used to feel warm and welcoming now feels understaffed, undercleaned, and aging. The booths feel worn. The floors look tired. The coffee doesn't taste the same. And when you combine all of that with rising prices and shrinking portions, the value diner image disappears completely. Denny's still markets itself as America's diner, but the reality is that the heart and soul that built its reputation have faded. Instead of fresh, simple meals cooked with care, customers get reheated frozen items, high-sodium loads, questionable sanitation, and service stretched so thin it can't keep up. If you want a real late-night meal, something warm, honest, and cooked on the spot, you're far better off at a local diner that still cracks eggs, still griddles bacon fresh, and still cleans the kitchen like it matters. CTA. If you've ever had a disappointing experience at Denny's, type Dennis in the comments. You'll be surprised how many people say the same thing. Red Lobster, the seafood chain that isn't serving what you think. Red Lobster built its entire identity on the promise of fresh seafood, warm hospitality, and those famous Cheddar Bay biscuits. For many families, it was the closest thing to a special night out. Lobster tails, shrimp platters, seafood feasts, and endless promotions that made you feel like you were getting real value. But behind the nautical decor and the carefully crafted commercials, the truth about Red Lobster's food is far less glamorous, and once you see what really goes on, the entire experience looks different. The biggest problem is simple. Despite the branding, most of Red Lobster's seafood isn't fresh at all. A large portion of their shrimp, fish, and lobster products come from frozen imports sourced from industrial fish farms overseas. Many of these farms have been linked to questionable practices: overcrowded tanks, poor water quality, overuse of antibiotics, and, in the worst cases, labor scandals. A 2019 investigative report revealed that some of the shrimp supplied to major chains came from farms in Southeast Asia associated with forced labor and unsanitary conditions. The chains may not advertise it, but it's where a lot of the cheap seafood comes from. And let's talk about the ingredients they use to create that buttery, indulgent flavor. The drawn butter served with lobster tails, the part everyone loves, often isn't real butter. It's a butter-flavored oil blend loaded with artificial coloring, preservatives, and trans-fat-heavy components. The lobster bisque, which should be a rich, slow-cooked soup made from shells and cream, is often thickened with cornstarch, stabilizers, dairy solids, and MSG to mimic the real thing. Even the grilled items can be brushed with sugary or artificial glazes meant to cover up the taste of previously frozen seafood. Nutrition numbers tell their own story. A single order of shrimp scampi can exceed 1,000 milligrams of sodium, and some full seafood platters cross 2,000 calories before you even touch the sides. The biscuits, as irresistible as they are, pack so much salt, sugar, and processed fat that eating just two already pushes you deep into unhealthy territory. Red Lobster meals look luxurious, but your body feels the heaviness long after you leave the table. Then come the hygiene issues. Over the past few years, several Red Lobster locations made headlines for moldy bread, undercooked seafood, unclean prep stations, and even roach sightings reported by customers. Former employees on Reddit have admitted that leftover seafood was sometimes reheated the next day to avoid throwing out expensive inventory, a practice that can easily lead to foodborne illness. When you combine high-risk ingredients with rushed kitchens and inconsistent training, the results are predictable, a chain that struggles to maintain the standards it advertises. None of this matches the image the brand sells. In commercials, you see pristine lobster pulled straight from the ocean, glistening shrimp served fresh off the boat, and food that looks handcrafted. In reality, most dishes come from industrial freezers, not fishing docks. And as costs go up and promotions fail to bring in enough profit, the chain has cut corners even harder, relying on cheaper suppliers and more processed ingredients to survive financially. Red Lobster may still feel nostalgic, the biscuits, the booths, the memories, but nostalgia doesn't change the truth. This is no longer the fresh seafood experience people imagine. It's a factory-style kitchen reheating frozen, preserved, heavily salted products that only look fresh because of clever sources and marketing. If you want real seafood, your best option is always a local restaurant that buys fresh catches daily or sources from regional fishermen. The difference in taste, quality, and integrity is night and day. If you've ever walked out of Red Lobster feeling sick, disappointed, or misled, type Red Lobster in the comments. Let's see how many people had the same experience. Outback Steakhouse, the Australian steakhouse with problems you'd never expect. Outback Steakhouse sells a fantasy more than a meal, the rugged Australian spirit, bold flavors, big steaks, and that famous bloomin' onion that hits the table looking like a deep-fried trophy. The branding is loud, confident, and fun, and for years it worked. Families loved it. Groups celebrated there. The restaurant felt upbeat, casual, and slightly exotic, even though nothing about it is actually Australian. But once you peel back the marketing and look at the food, the ingredients, and the behind-the-scenes practices, Outback starts to look less like a steakhouse and more like a calorie bomb wrapped in a clever theme. Let's start with the signature dish, the bloomin' onion. It's advertised as a fun appetizer to share, but nutrition experts call it one of the unhealthiest restaurant items in America, a single plate carrying around 1,950 calories, more than 150 grams of fat, and over 4,200 milligrams of sodium. That's almost double the recommended salt intake for an entire day before your entree even arrives. Add a steak, sides, and a drink, and you're easily pushing 3,000 to 4,000 calories at one meal. Outback doesn't highlight these numbers, of course, but your body feels them immediately. Then there's the truth behind the grill. Former employees have admitted that many grilled items are brushed with flavored butter blends and oil mixtures full of preservatives and MSG to enhance flavor. Even steaks that look simple and clean are often coated with seasoning mixes built from industrial powders, anti-caking agents, and flavor stabilizers. They look rustic, but the flavor is engineered. The menu might make it sound like everything is cooked from scratch, but a lot of dishes rely on pre-made components and sauces designed for consistency, not authenticity. And the cleanliness concerns are impossible to ignore. In 2018, a news investigation exposed multiple Outback locations for reusing old frying oil far past its safe limit, a practice that leads to rancid flavors and, worse, the formation of potentially harmful compounds. Some health inspections also reported cross-contamination issues, raw meat stored improperly, and pest activity in food storage areas. These problems aren't every location, but they are happening often enough to raise real questions about oversight and standards. Even the Australian identity falls apart the moment you look at it closely. Outback has no real connection to Australia. The founders were four Americans in Tampa, Florida, who used the theme because it sounded adventurous and exotic. There's nothing Australian about the bloomin' onion or the seasoning blends or the steak styles. It's marketing, not culture. And while that alone isn't harmful, it adds to the feeling that much of the experience is performance, not authenticity. The menu also hides enormous calorie counts in dishes that sound harmless. The Aussie cheese fries pack nearly 2,900 calories and close to 200 grams of fat. Some steak combos, depending on the sides, hit 2,500 to 3,000 calories easily. The salads, loaded with dressing and fried toppings, can run higher than the burgers. Outback isn't just indulgent, it's excessive even by casual dining standards. And while many customers visit for the fun, relaxed atmosphere, what they often don't see is the decline happening behind the scenes: inconsistent food quality, rising prices, small portions compared to years past, and kitchens stretched thin. When restaurants focus on heavy marketing instead of ingredient quality, the results always show up on the plate. Outback Steakhouse may still feel like a fun spot to meet friends, but if you're looking for real steaks cooked clean, without chemical flavor enhancers or mystery blends, a local steakhouse or a small grill spot almost always serves better meat, better sides, and better value. If you've eaten at Outback and the food tasted different than it used to, type Outback in the comments. Let's see how many people notice the change. After walking through dirty kitchens, frozen ingredients, lawsuits, hidden additives, and corporate shortcuts, it's only fair we end with the places that genuinely try to do things right. These aren't chains pretending to be healthy. They aren't hiding behind microwaves, frozen imports, or MSG-loaded butter blends. They're the places where you can sit down, eat a real meal, and walk out feeling good instead of weighed down. True Food Kitchen, real ingredients, real wellness. When you walk into True Food Kitchen, you immediately notice the difference. The air smells like fresh herbs and roasted vegetables, not fryer grease. The colors on the plates are real: greens, oranges, reds, not just beige and brown. It's one of the only chains built on an actual anti-inflammatory food philosophy, not marketing talk. Almost everything is made from whole ingredients. Their grain bowls, roasted sweet potatoes, wild-caught fish, and simple olive oil-based dressings tell you exactly what you're eating. Even the drinks are honest: turmeric teas, fresh-pressed juices, matcha spritzes, no chemical syrups pumped from a soda gun. What sets them apart is transparency. They don't hide ingredients behind vague names or processed fillers. Their proteins are responsibly sourced. Their vegetables come from seasonal partners. And their menu is designed to help you feel energized after the meal instead of sleepy or bloated. It's one of the rare chains where clean eating and good flavor actually sit at the same table. KVA, fast food, rebuilt into something healthy. If you want fast food without paying for it with your health, KVA is the chain that proves it's possible. Mediterranean ingredients naturally lean toward healthy fats, fiber-rich vegetables, legumes, and herbs, so the base is already strong. But KVA takes it further by avoiding the preservatives, cheap oils, and hidden sugars that most fast casual chains rely on. Their dressings are made from scratch every morning. Their proteins are antibiotic-free. Their bowls let you build meals with healthy grains, roasted vegetables, hummus, tzatziki, olives, and real spices. You get flavor without the guilt, speed without the filler, and convenience without paying the sodium price of traditional fast food. KVA's biggest strength is honesty. You know exactly what you're eating. And the menu works whether you're vegan, low-carb, or just trying to avoid processed junk. It's fast food done like someone actually cares about your body. The bottom line. After dissecting the worst chains and highlighting the ones actually doing things right, the pattern is clear. It's not about giving up eating out. It's about knowing the difference between a restaurant that respects your health and one that hides behind marketing. Some chains drown their food in salt and oil because it's cheaper than using real ingredients. Others stack their menus with calorie bombs because flavor is easier to fake than build. And then you have places like True Food Kitchen and KVA that prove you don't have to choose between taste and health. Your wallet votes every time you eat out. And your body feels every decision long after the meal is over. The more people demand real food, the more chains will have to change, because nothing pressures a restaurant harder than a customer walking out the door. Before you go, drop a comment with the restaurant you'll never eat at again. It helps warn everyone else.